You know, I think it's very important what we just heard said, because I think that gives us the game plan for what has to be done to deal with some of the problems like this. What I often say to people in my district when I speak to them is that the power does not come from elected officials. Elected officials should not be powerful. The power that they have has to come from the people. And if the people help and support and are interested and raise their voices, then there's no limit to what can be done. Most people right now do not even know the threat that is being posed to them and to their water and to their environment. And if the powers that be have their way, they never will know until the damage is already done. This project proposes to go into an area that is very pristine, very environmentally friendly, that is basically supplying New York City with 90% of its water. A tremendous accomplishment of nature. And it intends to go into that area, and it intends to inject millions of gallons of water deep down into the earth, chemically treated water. It is going to break the shale 5,000 feet below, and it is then going to be able to extract natural gas. Now, what chemicals are used? They won't tell us exactly. They say it's a trade secret. You're also dealing with millions and millions of gallons of water being used every day for this project. Now, where's the water going to come from? Are they going to take it from streams and wetlands? Or are they going to truck it in diesel fuming trucks, hundreds of them, to truck in? The estimate is when this project gets going, they're going to be using 28 million gallons of water daily. The chemicals that they're going to mix with the water, they're going to be storing them on site. How are they going to be storing them? What protections are there going to be to make sure that they don't overflow or evaporate into the air or overflow into the ground and get into our groundwater? That becomes a major concern. I have this very sinking feeling that the powers that be want to make this happen. Possibly they believe that this will provide an opportunity for an economic boom for the state. In terms of creating jobs, most of the jobs that are involved in this project are going to come from people who travel as crews with these companies. So they're not going to be hiring New York residents. This is not going to be a project that is going to last forever. Maybe it'll last for 10 years, 15 years. And then they'll pack up and they will leave with these 5,000-foot holes in the ground, with the chemically treated water wherever it has ended up, some of which will be recovered, some of which will still be down there. And with all the other problems that it will create, they will pack up and go to someplace else. And that will be the end of whatever few jobs they might have created. Times are very difficult. Government is looking to deal with deficits and create jobs and make people happy. And they have this idea that somehow this is going to be the economic savior for the state. People want to have quality of life. People need and want to have safe drinking water. The Department of Environmental Conservation has been ordered, has been directed, has decided to prepare what's called a supplemental generic environmental impact study. Let me make it clear, these generic studies are almost worthless in many ways. The numbers can be made any way they want it to be. The study itself, may not have all the information and answers that we need to have. But it provides the basis for public review and public comment, and for people to raise their voices and make noise about this project and about the possible bad consequences of it. Well, since they're doing this environmental impact study, basically one of the main reasons was because it's so near the New York City watershed. Wouldn't you think it would be likely or reasonable that they would have the public hearings on the scoping, the review, the comments, at least one of them in New York City? Nope, they didn't. November and December 2008, they had some meetings. Not one of them was in New York City. So people in New York City are not aware, really, of what's going on here. The Department of Environmental Conservation has basically stated what's in the New York State Constitution, which is that there cannot be drilling in the Adirondack and Catskill forest preserves. Basically, the Constitution protects that land from being taken away or alienated for these kinds of purposes. Right now, under current law, if you were going to do drilling within 1,000 feet of some kind of a water source system, you'd require to have an environmental impact statement. But you see, the problem with that is that an environmental impact statement can be basically maneuvered in any way you want it to be. Experts come in and they can play with the numbers and they can play with the results. What we really need is a ban on any drilling within near water sources, including the New York City water source. Now, there's a bill in the Assembly, which I'm a co-sponsor of, was introduced by Assemblyman Jim Brennan, which would basically, first of all, put a one-year moratorium on any of this drilling while we have an opportunity to discuss it and find out the pros and cons and get the people aware of what's going on. And secondly, would set up a 2-mile zone, buffer zone, around the New York City water sources. But that bill's not going to go anywhere unless people start raising their voices and demanding action. That bill will simply languish. It won't go anywhere unless people demand it. And this is one of the things that, groups like you, the leaders, the people who are basically the ones who are the prophets, the messengers, who are going to go out there and let people know about this problem and let elected officials know that you know about it and you want something done about it. When they take this millions of gallons of treated water after they've injected it in and they draw it back out, the intention is to store it for 45 days. That's a problem. So if it leaks, it goes into the ground. If it goes into the ground, it gets into the groundwater. Do you simply inject it into other holes in the ground, wells, injection wells? Do you find some municipal treatment centers that can treat the water? Because we really don't have them. Do you try to use out-of-state facilities? We really don't have those. These are questions that have not been answered. And unless we deal with these questions, we're going to have a big problem. Where we're at right now is an environmental impact statement is going to be released by DEC in the coming weeks, sometime in June or maybe July. When that comes out, it is important that you contact your elected officials, contact the governor, contact them and let them know that you're aware of this issue and that you are demanding that there be a ban on drilling near water sources. There has to be very strict regulations to make sure that our water sources are protected and that our environment in general around that area, that pristine, environmentally beneficial area, has got to be preserved. And that's something that has to be done basically by you putting the pressure on elected officials so that this thing doesn't get sneaked through quietly during the night. If you don't do it, and nobody knows about it, it's going to happen, and it's going to be very difficult to undo the consequences afterwards. Thank you.